listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean. Johnson.
The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's Being Human After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Being Human After Show.
Yeehaw! Hey everyone, Bing is for doing, and here we are doing another AFTERBUZZ TV after show for our favorite show, Being Human, and it is Season 3, Episode 4, I'm So Lonely I Could Die.
It's so sad.
I'm your host, Sean Overman, Sean O, if you'd like, and I'm joined here by my lovely co-host,
Katarina Lee Waters.
Thank you for being here, Katarina, and joining me.
Wonderful to be here.
Yes. And we're going to be buzzing about Being Human. We so love this show. But to be honest, I was a little bit disappointed with this episode again.
No!
Yeah!
Sean.
Yeah, I know. Well, let's... how did you feel about it?
Well, I can never be disappointed because they can do no wrong, but I could see that maybe it's a little slower than other episodes.
That's right. I definitely felt it was slower paced than the previous episodes and, compared to even the previous seasons. But let's go ahead and talk about what we got lined up.
Yes, let's.
And we have Aiden finds clean blood. Nora's family is dysfunctional. Sally tries to get an ID. And we'll talk about news and gossip and our predictions. Okay, so let's jump right into it. So Aiden finds some clean blood like right at the end of the episode pretty much, and I think that was the saving grace for the episode. It's like, oh, there's an out for him. He's not going to keep rolling the dice every time like he keeps saying.
Yes, that's true, but he was rolling the dice deliberately.
He was, and off air you mentioned something about Aiden. You said that he felt like, how did he feel? You felt? You said like you felt like he was going to kill himself, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Sally seemed to think that he was going to kill himself. I personally was a little confused at the time because Josh had gone on through that screening process for him. And when him and Sally went to that bar, I thought that perhaps he'd sought that person out specifically because he hadn't had the sickness and then he drank from him, for that. But then Sally seemed to think that that was a deliberate going for someone who didn't have clean blood in order to kill himself because he felt so lonesome he could die.
See, that's a good point that you bring up, actually. So there's been so many ellipses, I feel, with this whole season that like we jump from like 3 weeks between episodes. We don't know how much time has elapsed because Henry's dead. We don't see him around anymore.
We don't see him die, and we don't see him. It's just mentioned at the beginning that he's dead, and Aiden throws a party to get over it, I suppose.
I guess so, and we don't know how many of these parties Aiden's been doing, but probably the first.
Yeah, but I thought initially that it was Erin who'd thrown the party, since she's the troubled teenager, and that's something that a troubled teenager would do. So
right.
I thought that they'd mentioned at the beginning that it was her idea, and then Aiden was okay with it, but I guess maybe it was Aiden who wanted the party to try and get over his pain. So
that's actually really funny you mentioned that. I thought it was Erin also. I remember right when I saw the clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, and Josh, and he wakes up like very suddenly with Nora. They go downstairs and I'm like, oh, did Erin call these people? I thought it was just Erin playing like loud music, but it ended up being a whole huge college frat party.
Yep.
A co-ed frat.
Yeah, and where did all those people come from? They don't know that many people.
Exactly, and Aiden, being the good-looking, compelling vampire that he is, I'm sure he must have maybe compelled them a little bit to come.
Must have. I would have been compelled to come for sure.
Right. But, go ahead.
Yes, and my favorite thing about the whole episode, I think, was Aiden dancing.
Oh, yeah, that was...
Once at the party, that was hilarious, and then once in the little bar, and he was actually an excellent dancer. I was quite impressed.
That's right. He did a good job in both places with two different types of music, like contemporary hip-hop dance music, and then we have him dancing like, what was that, like 60s or 30s?
Yeah, like a swing kind of,
That's right. and it's both times he was dancing with Sally.
Yes.
And it seems like there's something going on with them, right?
It does seem like there's something going on. It's this episode and then the last one too. It's they held hands for a minute. It's the second time they've held hands. And I always felt like there was a bit of chemistry between them. They always seemed like the closest sort of, confidants in each other. But they were never able to touch each other. Now they can touch each other. Maybe, something can happen. So
That's right. Actually, I really felt like after that whole scene, which was a very powerful scene, where Sally's on top of Aiden, holding the steak in her hands. And I felt like after that they could have gone to making out, or maybe even done something a little bit more intimate. What do you think it could have gone that way? Maybe.
Yeah, perhaps. But I like that they're teasing it longer. That they're making people feel that chemistry before it just goes into the obvious. I like it when they draw these storylines out like that. When there's just you can sense it, but you don't know if, whether, and when. Agreed.
I feel like getting back to the whole Aiden's clean blood search. So he finds so he's rolling the dice, right? And he does have like kind of a death wish, but at the end of the episode he has an out now, where he sees this kid who his like nurse supervisor tells him has bubble boy syndrome. So this kid is germ free. He's been locked up in this sterile room all of his life, and he can never be allowed outside.
Yes.
So perfect for Aiden.
It is, but if Aiden, doesn't Aiden carry around germs? If he comes in and touches the boy, won't he bring germs to him and make him sick? Now, how is he going to hide that if he's so closely supervised in a glass box?
Exactly. See, you bring up a really good point, but I feel like, okay, it's a night shift. There's not going to be as many people around. I feel like there has to be, it didn't look like this in the episode, but there has to be some kind of airlock room where it's like in between the outside, which is the germ zone, and the inside, which is sterile. So there has to be some kind of like room in there where someone can go in and then like you get sterilized in there, like when you're wearing like, I don't know, some kind of hazmat suit or something, or even just going in there and you get sterilized, whatever, and then you can contact the kid when you open another secondary door to get into where the kid is.
You're very clever. I forgot how clever you are.
It could be like that.
That must be it.
But I feel like it doesn't look like it's going to be that way. I feel like it's going to be too simple. They have been brushing a lot of stuff under the rug and doing too many ellipses. What if it goes to the point where they don't even see how it doesn't show or illustrate how Aiden is getting the blood, and he's just getting it from the kid?
Yeah, because the other thing that I've noticed is that since Aiden came up from underground, he kind of had a lot of blood to drink, because that's the whole problem. There is no whatever, but he's not weaker or hungrier or... it doesn't seem like he's really suffering any consequences from not being able to feed like he normally would.
Yeah, especially not the way he used to with the hospital blood. He was even kind of weak then.
Yes.
He couldn't compel people as well. But I still feel like he's like fasting in a way. That's what I feel. And he's getting live blood from people, like he drank that biker dude.
Yes.
And at least that way he's a little bit stronger because it's live as opposed to the hospital blood in the pouches.
Yeah, but if he was rolling that dice on that one, what's the chances that he's going to be sick now?
Well, if he got sick, that would really suck because one of the best characters would be gone from the series. However, I really don't think like he's going to be getting sick. It's just, I'm surprised though. I felt like everybody got the flu, but I have a good explanation for the biker.
Oh.
I am going to help the writers out with their explanation and our fans. So I feel like because it's a biker dude, this guy is like represents like a subculture of American society, and he probably doesn't contact as many people. Right. Because he's like just sticking with his like biker group or his his bar, his place that he goes to all the time, and people kind of stay away from him because he looks scary. Look at the guy.
Yes.
He was gigantic. He had all these tattoos all over him. Tattoos on big guys like that are pretty scary.
Or maybe he's just so strong and tough and eats so healthy that he just has such a good immune system that he never got the flu.
That's a really good point.
Because not every single person got sick, because there are people who never got sick.
Very true.
So
anyway, he's been rolling the dice, and we find out he's going to get clean blood. I'm really glad. I'm glad that he's going to be doing that, and I'm interested to see how it's going to happen. How is he going to convince this kid? Like, Do you think he's going to compel him?
I don't know. He's not really the compelling, but he may be desperate enough now to live, since Sally gave him the will to live back.
I think it would be so weird. How is he going to compel him through the glass? Is he going to, maybe if he doesn't compel him, is he going to offer the kid a choice? Is he going to give him something he wants and say, hey, dude, I'm going to come clean. I'm a vampire. I need your blood.
Well, maybe he'll just be like, okay, we're doing some tests. We need to draw blood from you. And then just take a pint here and there.
Take a whole pint from the kid, this skinny kid who's like in a sterile room and he never goes out. I think a pint would really hurt him.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see.
Anyway, I guess we will see. And something that our fans should go and see and download is our iTunes podcast. Go to iTunes and in the search bar, go ahead and type in Being Human. And we're like one of the first podcasts that come up.
Well,
so
good. Alphabetical?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's alphabetical. There's not that many Being Human podcasts out there. We're one of the few.
Yes.
And so go ahead and rate and comment. Give us 5 stars. Tell a friend because it only takes a minute, right? Mm-hmm. And I actually have some shout outs to do for some of our fans. On YouTube, Rashad0026, thank you for your comment. And he noticed that, yes, there have been large ellipses between the episodes. And he points out that and this is a spoiler actually.
Okay.
He says at some point, Liam captures and tortures Aiden. So it's going to get crazy later on. And he saw this, according to the trailers and teasers that was shown pre-season.
Right.
So that's really interesting. Thank you, Rashad.
Yes.
And lastly, I have a comment from Ryan Whittleson, who says, good to see a Being Human, good to see that you guys got a Being Human after show. I agree with you, Ryan. So very much wanted to do it last year. And I'm happy to be with you here now. And Katarina and me are both happy to be here.
Yeah, and it's like I've been going on about this show forever, saying, you have to watch it, because the premise, some people think it's a little bit silly, a vampire and a werewolf and a ghost living together. And that's what I thought until I watched one episode and saw how fantastically well it was written and acted, and I was just hooked.
Oh, yeah, same thing with me. I saw the pilot for season 1, obviously, and then I watched it on Netflix Instant Watch. I just got drawn in, and I couldn't stop. And that was when the whole season was already available on there. So it was amazing, and I couldn't wait to see season 2. And once season 2 came out, I bought every episode on Vudu.
Yeah.
And now I'm buying the episodes right now on iTunes. So it's a great show.
Nice.
Let's talk about Nora's dysfunctional family. So what did you think about how her family reacted when everybody went there?
Wow, it was interesting because the dad obviously didn't have much of a reaction at all. He was basically catatonic on the couch. He was that stereotypical guy on the couch with his hands in his pants, even though it wasn't physically in his pants, but that idea of the, hey, woman, bring me a beer, that sort of guy. And then the mom just being really sweet but just completely downtrodden. And then
it was kind of depressing, like them going in there and seeing how their family is. It was just like, wow, her dad's a couch potato, her mom's like under the dad's thumb even though he doesn't do anything.
Yes.
And the brother's hitting on a 15-year-old girl.
Yep.
So
well, how old is the brother? That's what I'm wondering.
We don't know, actually.
He doesn't seem that much older.
Well, if she's got to be in her early to mid 20s, like Nora, he's probably in his early 20s, if he's, able to buy beer and stuff.
That's true.
Which it looked like he was. So he's got to be 21 and up.
True.
And so he's hitting on a 15, 16-year-old girl.
Yes.
And like Josh put it, practically pinned her down on the bed later on in the episode.
Yes.
Right.
Albeit she welcomed it.
Yeah, she did. That's very true. But, she's a troubled youth, and I guess he's a troubled kid, too, because he's still living at home with his parents, using the dial-up internet and whatnot. I thought it was really interesting, and it was like such an ambiguous response, getting over to the father, Robert, I guess is his name, when Josh asked for permission to have Nora's hand in marriage, like, his response was, what they say, look at the mom.
Yes, and I was going to bring that up too, because the thing is, the mom is the nice one, and he's the one that you wouldn't want to be, and he's basically making it out like, well, look at the bad cards I got dealt was he's actually the one who needs improving.
Yeah, it was so weird. Like that was messed up, of him to say something like that. But it was just like, out of all the things he could say, he had to say that, and obviously it was just, it totally turned Josh off. But let's fast forward a little bit, and then he tells everybody about it afterwards. Clearly, the father, Robert, he must have told at least RJ and probably his wife, and then RJ brings it up to Nora, and it's like, that Josh didn't even tell Nora yet. He didn't get the opportunity to. So it just turned into a messed up situation.
Totally. But how adorable of Josh to want to do that.
Yeah.
Even after he saw how the day went and how the dad was sitting on the couch, he still asked him, because that was important to him.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And so many crazy things happened with them. But what else happened? We had...
Well, whilst they were there, Nora told Josh about Brynn.
That was a big revelation.
That was a big revelation, because obviously we were wondering about, what happened to her. And especially since Liam showed up on the last episode.
And he was asking, like, where is my daughter?
Yes, exactly.
And
so
clearly Nora lied to him in the storage unit. And I actually didn't think she was lying about Brynn, but we knew she was lying about Connor.
Yes.
But holy crap, she killed Brynn too. And it again, another huge ellipse. Like, it didn't even show us, the audience off screen. And there wasn't even like a flashback. I think maybe it was better that there wasn't a flashback, but it was kind of like, even though it was like a good piece of information that we needed, it felt like it was kind of unsatisfactory to me. Like, it was anticlimactic. Like, she says this, and then it's just like her and Josh are sharing this tender moment, and he's like telling her he still loves her and it doesn't matter, la la la.
Yeah. And again, I was a little confused. Maybe you can clear it up for me, because I thought she said that they had an argument like a couple of days before the turn, that she wanted to bring this guy in as like a plaything or whatever.
Yeah.
And they had that argument 2 days before. So did they have to fight 2 days before, or did they not fight until the actual turn?
That's a really good question, and I have no idea.
Because then she would have killed her in human form and not as a wolf.
And I think it's worse if she killed her in human form. It's definitely, she's losing more of her humanity doing that.
Yeah, which I find hard to, fathom, even knowing her sort of her dark instincts and whatever. But even I pictured it, them fighting as wolves and her sort of doing it inadvertently. But at the same time, it confused me that she said we had this argument 2 days before the turn.
It was interesting when she was talking about that, how she said about the guy, the victim that they had in the car with them. And she said Brynn wanted to play with him like a mouse. Wouldn't it have been more appropriate to say cat, because they're wolves? They're like dog-like,
I guess so.
as opposed to a cat and a mouse euphemism. So that was kind of
silly.
But
cats can give wolves a run for their money.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I got you now. I got what you're referring to. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about Erin. So she was kind of like, well, the only thing that she did that stood out in this episode, a couple of things actually. She was the one who voiced the concern about the dysfunctionality of Nora's family. She was like, wow, even your family's way more messed up than me.
Right.
And that was funny, because I feel like that's a total teenager thing to say, right? Everybody's thinking it, but the teenager is the one who has to bring it up, right? And actually say it.
Yeah. And she was also the one who suggested to Sally to get a new identity. She's a little more streetwise, I guess, than everybody else, despite her young years. That's
a very good point. And speaking of being streetwise, how is it that she's able to stay away from, like, the local government? Because she was a foster kid. She was being moved from home to home.
True.
Like, what did Josh and Nora adopt her? Did they foster her? Because if they did, there must have been paperwork. There must be a social worker visiting the house. But I don't think that it ended up that way, right?
No, because they talked about it like they didn't want to officially do it. I mean, because Josh even brings it up. He goes, what, did we adopt a 15-year-old now? So they obviously didn't formally do it. But you're right. I mean, somebody would come and check on her or be looking for her, at least.
Yeah, it must be at least several days to even a week after when Erin was, like, introduced to them, right? So, it's just so funny, because if she did have a social worker, imagine a social worker visiting the house, like at least once a month, you know, and seeing the dysfunctionality that's going on in there, seeing a vampire and 2 wolves living with a human and all this crazy stuff.
But they wouldn't
party.
know that. Well, the party they would probably
Yeah.
not be too happy about. Yeah. But the other thing that she brought up to Sally too was when Sally said, well, what am I supposed to do? You know, everybody I see, you know, that I knew dies and I can't go out. And then she goes, well, just leave. And it never occurred to Sally before that she could leave Boston, you know. And all Being Human fans are going, no, don't leave. You know, we don't want to lose Sally. But that is the most logical thing to do. And that never occurred to anybody before this.
You know what? I feel like it would actually be interesting if Sally did leave for one episode and everybody's wondering where she is, and then she comes back. Like she has kind of like a little self-discovery thing, and she comes back. Or maybe she goes off and she sees someone who she knew from childhood or thought she was dead in another city, and then she's like, oh, I can't help it, you know. No matter where I go, I'm gonna hurt people. That would be interesting if that happened.
That would, yes.
But
maybe her and Aiden will run off together.
Oh, maybe they will with their little romance.
Yes.
Let's talk about the ABTV, AfterBuzz TV store really quickly. So if you want to go online to our website, AfterBuzzTV.com, and go ahead in the top left area, like near the top, you know, not quite, you know, it's kind of like the second banner on the left side. Click on that, and it's the ABTV store. And you go there, and then you can see we got a bunch of cool stuff over there. We have sweaters, mugs, t-shirts, and a variety of each thing. We have bags too, like reusable bags for you guys to use when you like go out shopping or whatever at at Fresh and Easy or wherever you go. In particular, I would love to get this one sweater I see on there. It's like this awesome like gray looking sweater, right, Marissa? You know which one I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
I want that one, the most expensive one on there.
Well,
I'm
you
gonna have
should
to
get
check it out.
So you guys should go ahead and check that out and buy some of our stuff if you want a piece of AfterBuzz TV at your home. And let's talk about the last topic. So Sally tries to get a new identity. So you mentioned earlier, Kat, that Erin brought up why don't you just run away? Oh, why don't you get a new identity? So she's throwing all these things out at Sally, and Sally finally latches onto one, right?
Right.
So what was it that...
Well, she goes to the funeral home and starts looking at dead babies, basically, to see if she can, you know, take the identity of a baby that just passed away and to pass herself off as that person, I guess.
Yeah, so she wanted to get the paperwork for that child, get the social security number and all the information, because then it's like, oh, okay, now I can legally work. And we're wondering about that. It's like Josh and Nora are the only people in the house working. But then
and Josh brought that up too.
And he did.
Yeah, I thought of you when that happened.
Yeah, that was really funny, right? So he does that, and he brings it up, and it kind of plants a seed, I guess, in Josh's mind. He doesn't bring it up to Sally. No. But Sally takes care of it on her own because she feels guilty. She's like, you know what? I can't go out anywhere. I can't do anything. I can't leave. I can't travel. I can't rent or like buy anything. I need a job. She needs money. She needs cash. So she tries to do that baby thing. And that was the idea from Aiden, by the way, right? Because Aiden at the she was questioning him about, oh, since you vampires live so long, like you can't possibly have the same identity. Yeah. Right? So she got that idea from him. She went to go like look through the papers, and Max finds her. Yes. Right? He interrupts her. And what was his reaction to that?
Well, he supports her. She comes clean, and then he offers her a job. Right?
And that was interesting. And I think it really shows how sweet he is on her. And I feel like they are more even though her and Aiden have been touching a lot, I feel like it's really likely that Max and her are going to have something, especially because they're going to be working together now. Yes. They're going to be sharing a lot more time.
And that will keep her in Boston too.
That will keep her in Boston, so she doesn't have to run away like sleeping with the enemy style, like she says. So that was pretty funny. Any other thoughts on Sally getting a new identity?
I don't know. Maybe she'll get plastic surgery too, so people won't recognize her. Would that help? If she sees someone that she knew before, but they don't recognize her, would that help if she had a different look?
I feel like she's going to be pretty enclosed anyway in the funeral home. Like maybe she won't really go out too much anyway.
Maybe not, no.
Maybe not.
Yeah. How's she going to explain all that to Max?
Yeah. I wonder, maybe she'll come clean.
Maybe she will.
I wonder if maybe even her being intimate with Max might do something to him too, because of like her corpse or her spell or whatever. So.
Well, maybe he'll understand better because he's already around death all the time. So perhaps he has an affinity with it that makes it easier for him to bridge that gap.
That's a good point. You're probably right about that. Before we go into news and gossip, I actually forgot to mention the Serial Buddies movie that Maria Menounos and Kevin Undergaro have for their newest venture. And Kevin Undergaro, he wrote it, he directed it, and Maria's she's starring in it. She has a really funny role, and I got to screen it. So it's a funny film, good movie. My personal favorite in the movie is the actor Gian Molina. That guy is so hilarious. He's on like Funny or Die, and he's in Maria and Kevin's movie, Serial Buddies. So check it out. You can go to YouTube and type in Serial Buddies trailer, and it's the first serial killer buddy comedy. It's pretty hilarious. Christopher Lloyd's in it too.
So is it just the trailer you can watch, or is there somewhere you can watch the whole movie too?
It's just a trailer right now. I feel I don't know when it's going to be released. It probably says in the trailer actually, but I got to screen the whole film. So
well, lucky you.
Just
VIP, sure no.
Just a little bit, Cat. Anyway, let's go ahead and move into news and gossip now.
Oh yes.
AfterBuzz TV News.
That's the second time you got
Right.
you got scared by the little explosion
Didn't
there.
I break the table last time?
I love that. I love the kablamo. I'm so used to it. I'm desensitized now because I've been doing so many shows. But news and gossip. So earlier this week, Sam Witwer, aka Aiden, did a Q&A on reddit.com, and he answered tons of questions, including one of the following, which caught my curiosity. A fan asked, are we going to see an intimate relationship between Aidan and Sally?
Oh, there you go.
And we've been discussing
We
that.
have been.
Right? So he, to which he responded, and I'm paraphrasing with this one because his response was like a paragraph long.
Right.
One never knows. If one does happen, expect it to be very different from that relationship between Annie and Mitchell. And I take that as being Annie and Mitchell are like the ghost and the vampire from the UK version of Being Human.
Oh, because they do have one, is that right?
I guess so.
Okay, so people have been watching that show and taking ideas from that, perhaps.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's the same. I think it's the same writer. Is it Toby Whitehouse who developed it? He did it for the UK version, and he developed it for the US version. But I actually wanted to show you something, and maybe show our fans something if they can see this. Okay, so here's an Instagram. This is an Instagram of Aiden touching Sally.
I'm jealous.
And here, if our fans can see it, you guys can go onto Instagram and just type in Being Human, hashtag Being Human US, and you can find this. You can find this little Instagram photo of pretty much like in the last season when Sally is still a ghost. Aiden tries touching her, right? Aiden tries touching her, and he goes through her. Obviously, he can't touch her. But then in this season, he's touching her so much. Yeah. They're holding hands intimately too. Yeah. And this was uploaded by sumo_fan.
Right.
And it got a comment. It got quite a few likes, and a comment from Sam Loves Adam. They so should date.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Everyone's picking up on it.
Absolutely.
It's inevitable.
And I think, let me see, do I have one more thing to talk about? I think that's about it. So let's go ahead and move into predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Ooh, that one was a little bit louder than usual, Marissa. So my prediction, I'm light on predictions this week, but I feel like we discussed this a little bit earlier, but I feel like Sally will date Max.
Right.
They're going to be so close together. They're going to be working a lot, and you can so tell that both of them are sweet on each other. You know?
Yes, but it's a different kind of. It's not like the passion between her and Aiden.
That's right. She hasn't mounted Max yet.
No, that's true. But maybe the thing between Sally and Aiden is a little bit forbidden with them too, because they've been roommates and they're coming from a totally different. It's not like they've met and they're interested. It's, they've developed this close friendship, so they would maybe be a little bit tentative about pursuing it.
Yeah,
And plus, them both being undead, and it's weird, but
it might be better.
I don't know. I feel Sally and Aiden.
You feel like they're gonna hook up more.
Yes.
Did you
Look
have?
at my prediction. I feel that.
That's your prediction.
That's my prediction.
Did you have any other predictions besides that?
Well, something's going to happen with RJ and Erin.
RJ and Erin.
Yeah, since she flew the nest, as it were. And I don't know whether she's going to, perhaps they would run away together. Or something. Maybe she'll turn him by mistake.
Wow. That's a really good prediction. And oh man, if that happens, we're going to have a huge pack of wolves
Yes.
and only one vampire.
Yeah. But I still think that there's more vampires still out there. I can't see how every single one's like wiped out and Aiden's the only one. It's going to be like in The Last Unicorn when she travels and she finds a herd and they've been taken away to sea and she brings them back. It's going to be something like there's going to be pockets of vampires somewhere that Aiden's going to end up finding somehow.
I think you're right, and I feel like Aiden next episode we're gonna see him drinking from the kid somehow. Hopefully we don't have a huge ellipse, but I predict there's gonna be a big ellipse.
Yes,
because that's the way they've been doing it this season.
And then Nora and Josh. Well, I don't feel as much anymore that Josh will turn back.
You know what? I actually feel like you were right with that prediction. I feel like he probably will turn back, at least by the end of the season, because. You know what? If he does that, though, it's gonna be he won't be able to be a human again, because then he would have to actually he would have to kill the person who turned him in. Hopefully it's not Nora.
No, that's true.
So we'll see.
Yes, and are they going to adopt a baby for reals? Like they were implying
the
that they might
Ugandan
do.
baby.
Yeah, the Ugandan baby. Perhaps an American one. Who knows?
Yeah, perhaps. But anyway, that wraps it up for us. That is our show. And we thank you guys so much for joining us here at AfterBuzz TV for our after show of Being Human. Again, you can always hit us up on Twitter at AfterBuzz TV. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/AfterBuzzTV. And you can follow me on Twitter at Sean Austin O.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Katarina's Infamy.
Thank you very much, guys. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.